So what's up, everybody? My name is ET1 Jerome Kennedy.
This is Ahmad Hankins.
Tahira Clark.
And Dave Johnson.
Welcome, everybody, to the December Pro League, Epic Pro League newsletter. For those who don't know, just tuning in for the first time, EPIC stands for Enlisted Professionals in Connection. We're a Coast Guard professional network that's dedicated to building meaningful relationships for Black and underrepresented minorities in the Coast Guard. And today, what we're going to talk to you about is something we're really excited about, is the year 2024. So a whole year has gone by, and now we're here at this moment about to cross over the threshold into 2025. And before we do that, we just wanted to talk about everything that happened as far as Epic. So I asked the board of directors to take time out of their New Year's Eve and their babies and their schedules and their partying and everything, and they sat down with me today, and I really appreciate y'all doing that to talk about this. So we're gonna get right into it. Let's talk first about our sponsors. These are the people that have helped drive the mission of Epic from a financial perspective. When I think of it, I think of some of the people like Vince Patton, Errol Brown, Skip Bowen, Marcus Kennedy, the Tidewater Chief Petty Officer Association, Mr. Carl Worley, all of these kinds of names, right? And when I think about them, it's like, man, some of these people don't even really work with Epic on a day-to-day, but they take the time out to give their money to our cause and to our efforts. So like, when you guys think about these people, like, do any of them really stand out to you? Like, do y'all think about them and say like, man, I really like this sponsor because of the impact that they have or things they've said or how they inspire me? I'll open it up to everybody, or I can go down the list, man. What do y'all think?
I'll start first. I think for me, you didn't name them, but
Okay.
Dr. Dickerson is one that sticks out to me the most because out of all the people you named, every one of them has a connection to the Coast Guard as their enlisted persons or officers. So they came through the ranks of the military. If I'm not mistaken, she doesn't have that background, and she is someone that we have worked with before with the Civil Rights Directive. So we was able to do things with her office. And the first time we asked for someone to be a sponsor, she stepped up without hesitation. So I think out of all the people that we named, that's the one person that sticks out to me, because that shows that we have transitioned more than just military people, right? We have civilians in our service who believe in what we're doing. So I want to thank her on behalf of Epic for believing in us and staying with us throughout all of the times and the different things. And she even came to the ball too. So I want to thank her.
Yeah, Dr. Dickerson. That's a good one, man. I like that. Yeah, when you think about her, you think about the civil rights aspect of it, right? And there are a lot of people that are in Epic that part is very important to them. You know what I'm saying? Like the civil rights part and how I remember, didn't she come, was it in 2024 that she did like a little talk with us? And remember Mr. Cosby or
Yep.
Senior Chief Cosby? Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was,
So
I think, 2023 or 2022.
might have done that too. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
where they had the talk where she was around the round table and they had the discussion. So yeah, that's definitely why I think it sticks out, because we've done a few things with her.
Yeah. So we have people in the civil rights realm of things that's like still involved with us and have been very impactful to us performing our mission in the Coast Guard. So definitely shout out to Dr. Dickerson. Anybody else?
I'll go next. Definitely for me, it'd be Captain Marcus Kennedy.
Okay.
I'm stationed at Coast Guard headquarters, and he was CGA. He was the executive assistant to CGA, and just seeing his impact on, I won't even say the underrepresented minorities, but for everybody. You know, he for me, he embodies being very intentional in his leadership, being very hands-on. That's something that I take on and I want to embody and that I want to continue, because for sure.
Absolutely, man. Captain Marcus Kennedy, Mayor Kennedy. Man, yeah, the Kennedy Leadership Group, I think you could say maybe that he headed up one of our most impactful events for the year with the Epic Heritage Ball. Captain Marcus Kennedy, and with how he travels all around, thinks he's like, you know what I'm saying? You need to get that man a plane. That man need to be riding CG1 around the Coast Guard, man, traveling around doing his talk on intrusive leadership. I love how he does his first Fridays out in the DC area. He definitely embodies, I think you bring up the leadership aspect, but I also think about as far as the relationship building aspect, you know what I mean? Like he has shown you that he values creating relationships in our community. And I agree with that. That's a really impactful sponsor right there, to shout out, man. Thank you for that.
All right, and I guess I'll go. Everyone's favorite McPog, obviously. Vince Patton. For me personally, like I just think that it's so amazing that he continues to be so involved with the junior members in the Coast Guard, the young Black men and women, and everyone really. Like he's everywhere. He's supporting everything and everyone. And I feel like, well, since I've been in Epic, he's been like a major supporter of Epic, and he's always going to show up for us and empower us and just like have our back. Like he was also on the Epic Heritage Ball committee, and he was the voice, like when because there were, officers, there were Coast Guard civilians on the committee. He just made sure that like the voice of Epic and the enlisted voice was always heard, and at the forefront, because it was an Epic event at the end of the day. So he is a wonderful human being, and I just think it's amazing that even though he's reached the highest of ranks in the enlisted workforce, he's so very approachable and relatable, and he makes sure that he builds connections with those junior members coming up in the Coast Guard. So that's my favorite sponsor. Good old McPog 8, Vince Patton.
Yeah, the big guy. That's what I call him, the big guy. Yeah, the big guy. He's that dude, man. Like, what's crazy? I think I was telling Ahmad about this. I went to a retirement for Commander James Cullen recently, and like, he's not even he's not black or minority. He's just regular guy in the Coast Guard retiring, but he's had a phenomenal, amazing career. Like listening to the stuff in that retirement, I was like, that is unreal that someone has been involved. He was kind of like a Forrest Gump of the Coast Guard, like legit, like just been involved in so many things throughout the year. He was there for 9/11 and all kinds of stuff. But he was talking about how Vince Patton had impacted his career. I won't tell the exact story, but it's pretty crazy if you ever hear it. But that just speaks to, how Vince is just impacting so many people in the Coast Guard. And to think that he's chosen Epic, it's almost like we're his like baby organization. You know what I mean? Like he sees us all as his sea sons and daughters. And he's since the beginning, since the time that he's been involved, he's always been willing to give whatever time, money, advice. Like I have junior members that I send to him just like, hey, here's his phone number. They can sit there and text him any time of the day, like talk to him about anything. He's phenomenal. Definitely a different type of individual, but the kind of person we want to see like replicated within Epic and throughout the Coast Guard, right? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. For me, I'm gonna say like I think I was talking to y'all earlier about it. Like there's a guy, and hopefully they're watching this video, Mr. John Bennett, okay? Whoever you are, on January 1st, 2024, Mr. John Bennett donated $500 to Epic. Now, we've had donations and have made money for the cause in the past, right? But if you notice, 2024 was like the first year we started getting a lot of different donations from all over the place, right? And I believe that donation he gave really set the tone for the year 2024, when you really stop and think about it. Because I think at that point, the Epic Heritage Ball hadn't been conceived, or it may have been conceived, but it hadn't been talked about. We didn't know about it. The symposium, Ahmad had that in his mind, but we hadn't really gotten any strong, like solid movement towards that. It seemed like 2024, all of that changed, So yes, we had the volunteer aspect of Epic, and we have people that want to help, but without the money, we know that in America, like finances and resources are key. So I want to thank Mr. John Bennett. There's so many sponsors, but Mr. John Bennett, wherever you are, we can find you. Somebody help us find this man. We got to find this guy. That's my sponsor for the year 2024 that I just want to shout out. I think he set the tone for us. All right. Any other thoughts that y'all have about like sponsors or anything about that for the year?
I just want to say thank you to all the sponsors that have donated for our cause. That, like you said, Chingo, this year has been like we received a lot of donations from a lot of different people. So we're really grateful for all of our sponsors. I know we mentioned a few, but we're grateful for all of our sponsors, and we look forward to continuing those relationships and doing more within Epic for our people and our, everyone. So like, just thank you all for if you supported Epic in any kind of way with your time or your resources or financially. We thank you.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said that better. www.weare, the letter R, epic.com. If you go to the Epic Heritage Ball link, you'll see a list of all of our sponsors. I think it was something like $27,000 worth of sponsorships this year, somewhere around there. It was amazing. This was an amazing year as far as sponsorships. And we always love our Epic partners, those people who pay their dues. Of course, they laid the foundation in that way as well. So let's go on and move on to another topic for the year 2024. Like, stop and think about it for a second. Like, we had a lot of things. Epic Town Hall, we had Black History Month, we had Heritage Ball, we had Remap and CMAP stuff going on, we had the podcast, we had Board of Directors, all of this stuff going on. What was your most memorable moment, or just a moment that you want to talk about and express your experience for the year 2024? I'll open that up to any of y'all.
I'll take the first stab at it. For me, I don't think it's a moment. I think it's a group of young individuals. Me and you have always talked about how do we get Epic to stay here for the long haul, right? And I think there is one person who's doing it very well, and I think that has trickled down to some other people, and I'll name this group of people that I like to say. First, I'll start with SK1 Whitlow out there at Trace in Yorktown, or Trace in Petaluma at A School. I think what Ashley has done in 2024 with connecting almost every young person that comes through the SK rating, I think as a whole, we look at the SK rating as the minority rating of the Coast Guard. But the fact that a lot of young people that we now have, that I'm going to talk about this next group, have come, I think, through her leadership and her dedication to Epic as a whole. So when I say that, the first one that comes to mind is the podcast crew, right? That's the one contingency of young people that I want to shout out here, right? And I think Olivia starts that bond with Ashley, right? Being someone who was in A School at a point of time, I think once she came aboard, and then now you get Samori, and then you get Tyra, and then you had Steve. But then also with that group, you have Giles, you have Guyton, you have Roundtree, you have these other young people that have now started to step up within Epic and take even Everett. You start to see those contingency of about 7 or 8 young people that one of those group leads the podcast. You talked about the Juneteenth, which I think was like a big thing on the West Coast, and it was, had Epic foundations and a lot of Epic people there. Right now we have the symposium with Guyton and Roundtree and Everett being involved. So that group of young people, I think, really takes us to the next level. And I want to thank each one of them personally, because I think at this point in time in 2025, all of your hard work is going to be seen by the masses of the Coast Guard, right? When we get to the symposium, the senior leaders are going to see what you guys have done. Yes, all the time, and as Jerome and I say, we can't give you guys all these awards, right? But I think our heartfelt appreciation for the young people and you guys taking it to the next level, I think that group is where we're all 4 of us are going to hand the next mantle to, right? We're all at a point in our career where we're senior people. Those junior ones are going to do that. So I would say from the bottom of my heart, thank those young people right there. Continue what you're doing. Keep Epic at the forefront. Bring your ideas to the table. Continue advancing. I think almost all of you guys are advancing this year, if I'm not mistaken. That is a big thing in Epic. That's where me and Jerome seen when we sit at the table when we were second classes, we didn't have the rank. I think the young people are getting to it a lot faster for us. So I'll stop right there, but I really want to thank those young contingency of people.
Yeah, that's excellent, man. That contingency they have out there in Petaluma, gotta say, they're doing some big things. It seems like every 5 minutes I'm seeing a post of, a different young person that they're bringing through. But to shout out Ashley Whitlow, wow, what a great find there, because she's been doing things for a while within Epic, but to see her even continuing that as she's moved on to a whole other side, the country, and yeah, she's the one that brought Olivia in. And when Olivia was stationed on the other side of the country in the East Coast, connected her to people on the East Coast, which then blossomed into what you see now with her being so involved with the podcast and even the symposium. Actually, she's involved in the Heritage Ball as well. So she's involved in pretty much every aspect of Epic, and that comes from Ashley. Those are the kind of stories right there. Building relationships, a part of that is someone has to start the conversation with them. And from that moment, what they decide to do is up to them. And a lot of these young people have decided to step forward and take that next leap into the stratosphere of the Coast Guard. And I believe that it's going to pay off for them in the long run in ways that they can't even imagine right now. But 2025, like you said, is going to really reel that in. So thank you for that, Amat. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I think the OSs are starting to come on board too. I keep
Yeah.
seeing the OS graduation A school. So Lisa, I know you're doing a great thing out there too. And hopefully we can start getting some of those young people that y'all are producing in the OS rating into the fold too. And I'll be looking forward to that too. So
You know, I was waiting for it because I was like, oh, so we just not gonna talk about the OSs? Hello, OS1 Sahira Clark here.
no, listen, the OSs are the second contingency out there that is doing the work
Well,
too. So
we do what we can. We make a point. There's not many of us, just to piggyback, there's not many of us Black instructors out here. It's 4 in the OS schoolhouse, 3 OS1s, 1 chief. So we make it a point to reach out to those students, just so that they know like what to expect and know that they have a support system. Because I know when I was coming up as a non-rate, I didn't have anyone to look up to. I didn't have a resource. I didn't have a safe space or someone to talk to when I felt like I was being wronged, and targeted and stuff like that. So we make it a point, and a lot of us have that shared experience, right? So we make it a point to let them know, like, hey, we want to set you up for success, and also know that we got you. Like when you go out in the fleet, and if something doesn't seem right, you can always reach back out to us, and we can help you navigate whatever it is that you have going on. And then of course we like to share in our accomplishments, right? So we put it in the Facebook group, the Black Chronicle, so we can further connect people, because that's what Epic is all about. We make it a point to do that because that's a lot of times something that we didn't have when we were coming up.
and hopefully if you're back, I got a young lady that I've recruited that's going to OSA school in April.
Ooh, wait.
So and
Oh
I
yeah,
think y'all have a class starting in the first week of April. So she's already connected with a OS3 in New York already, another young Black lady. So y'all are
nice.
starting to have, I think, be the other rating that we see that has a lot of minorities in it or is being
Yes.
connected in that same way. So
Absolutely. See, it's happening right now, you guys. And also Lisa's class, Lisa Mouget, also Lisa Mouget, she just had a class that graduated and had 4 Black young men. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So, and of course she set them up for success. So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because before Epic, this kind of thing could happen, right? And it was happening. But what I love about Epic is that it also provides, it just gives you another way or platform that when you connect those people, yeah, you can connect them to different social media groups, but you also have like an official group, like a nonprofit organization. There's just so many ways you can connect people and give them something to rally around, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, because you guys also had one of my mentees, Roderick Scott. You remember him? Oh, actually, I think you may have been on baby leave when he came through. You may have been on baby leave, but I think Lisa, helped, and he had some issues in boot camp, and some issues in A school. So shout out to him. I heard that he's on his way down to New Orleans. He's got his orders, and he's excited about his career in the Coast Guard and getting his new vehicles and stuff like that with the money he's going to be making. So I would say that's a really good shout out there as well. And we should continue to build on those kind of things. Dave, I'm going to push it over to you.
I would say my favorite event from 2024, I was able to represent Epic for the Affinity Group Symposium held at Coast Guard headquarters. And I thought that was a really dope experience. I got a chance to get the network with different affinity groups throughout the service. And just seeing, we're the youngest affinity group. So just seeing how they operate on a daily and meeting these representatives from these different groups, I was able to leave some good contacts. So I thought that was a really dope experience. And, I appreciate, the organization for letting, I was able to represent as well. So I thought it was a really dope experience for sure. So
yeah. So for that, you're talking about the Coast Guard had an event for the different, what they call affinity groups in the Coast Guard, which are...
And my apologies, because I can't put a finger on the official title of the symposium, but
Summit.
It was Summit, yes. So I was able to represent. So I got a chance to meet with WLI, FAPAC, and forgive me for forgetting the rest of them right now. It's late, but I was able to meet with those organizations, and it was really good to see how they operate on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so you got a chance to listen to the Coast Guard talk about the ways in which they're trying to approach issues concerning the minority communities in the Coast Guard, and you got to push some of our stuff into the different people that are in the community there in the DC area, so that they can understand who Epic is and what they're about. So I think that was definitely a really impactful event. I've heard that from that event, we learned a lot about where the Coast Guard is going to be heading for next year as well,
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out in real time. But man, I appreciate you sharing that. For me, I would say that obviously I just have to go with the easy one. I got to go with the Epic Heritage Ball. I have to go with that. That was the one time I would say also we had like a board of directors meeting that was all in person, like we actually got to come together in one place, talk about our vision for Epic, which I wish we could do more often. But being the fact that we're in the Coast Guard, we can't really do that. So we got a chance to come together for that. But then we got to be in a whole new kind of environment. It seems like that happened so long ago. But when you think about it, like before that moment, I don't know if it's a big deal or whatever, but the enlisted side of things, that hasn't really been our thing. To have like a ball, get all dressed up. We wore our alpha uniforms, our alphas and all of that stuff. Just to be able to be in that new kind of environment, it did impact me in a major way. It helped me to actually found a new uniform that I like now. I wear the alphas whenever I get a chance. Like if I have the opportunity between a dress uniform, alphas. That's my favorite uniform. It looks kind of like almost like a regular suit uniform, which is with some ribbons and flash and stuff like that. So the Heritage Ball, where all of us came together from all over the country. We had the mayor of Portsmouth was there. We had Coast Guard royalty, Admiral Merchant. We had people from everywhere. Retired people were there. And it was in this wonderful setting in Hampton and on Langley Air Force Base. Just a beautiful, beautiful moment for my Coast Guard career. And I said this when I spoke there. I've never been more proud to be in the Coast Guard than I was that moment. That was like, that was a moment where you saw that, people really care about what we are doing. People really want to build relationships within our community. And regardless of how it looks, that is the truth of the matter. So what we do from here in trying to continue that and like the birth of the symposium, having the second Heritage Ball, I think that's going to be everything for us, moving forward. So any other thoughts y'all had about, the year, the memorable moments?
No, I think that was good. When Sahira jumped back on, well, she got to give her thoughts too. Hopefully she comes back here in a second.
All right, so 2025 is on the way, right? We about to launch into the new year. And I know what a lot of people are wondering, like, what's Epic going to be doing next? So from your perspective, what would you like people to know about what to expect for 2025?
I think I'll take that first. First and foremost, I think collaboration. We're going to start off our first event, which has kind of been one of our flagship events, the MLK Town Hall, with a partnership with WLI. I want to say that funding wise and just being there, WLI has helped Epic in 2024, and they are going to be the first unit, our first group that we pair with. Master Chief, I want to thank you for coming on board, Master Chief Chastain coming on board Epic and bringing that partnership to the forefront. When we had the team that's doing the MLK, which shout out to Nick and everybody over there at Yorktown that's helping out, when he asked for money for the guest speaker, the first thing Master Chief did was bring WLI on board, right? So that kind of helped us offset the costs and also bring them into the forefront. So I say partnerships is what you're going to see with Epic, not just externally. I think internally you're going to see that too. As we start to really build out the organization, we're going to have to build on those partnerships. And that's everywhere we go. When you look at the MLK, that's going to do that. When you look at the symposium that we're going to undertake, that's going to be that. Shout out to Master Chief Jacobs. I know we kind of put him in a spot where it's like, hey, do this for us, Master Chief, or help us out. And then we kind of let him go and he's been doing it. I want to say thank you. I know me and you met with him last week when I was in Virginia. We sat down, had a good breakfast. Master Chief, greatly appreciate you for doing that. I would say that's what I'm looking forward to, is that continual partnership, networking, and building with Epic and everybody else. So
definitely. Yeah, that partnership part, when you think of building meaningful relationships, you can talk about those personal relationships, but also there are organizational relationships. And a lot of times those things things are based upon shared common values that are about the larger group. And WLI and Epic, it's an easy pairing because there are a lot of women in Epic already. I know that WLI is a little more focused sometimes on the officer side of that in the Coast Guard, but they've really done a great job of pairing with us, collaborating with us, especially on the West Coast. Great shout out there. Yeah, Master Chief Jacobs coming in, taking over. Master Chief Chastain coming in, taking over in their ways. Yeah, this is a great thing for 2025, and we hope to see more of that. We hope to see a lot more of that. Yeah, I love that. Dave, you got anything for us? What are you looking forward to when it comes to 2025?
I think we touched on this a little earlier, and that's growth within the junior members of the ranks.
Yeah.
Growth within Epic. I'm sorry. I think I've been super proud of our junior members. They're the ones that keep the engine going. They're the ones that's gonna the grow, and nurture these seeds that are being planted now. So much salute to them. Shout out to them. Trying to get some new chapters in. Let's start a chapter in the headquarters, Baltimore, New York, out on the West Coast. Getting some of these chapters established and just growing within Epic. And that's kind of my main focus and kind of what I have to look forward to.
Absolutely. Those junior members getting involved, I think when I think about that, the symposium is the first thing that comes to mind. That symposium is going to be a perfect place for them. What Master Chief Jacobs is putting together with that provides so many opportunities to find other junior members that have similar backgrounds to them, to find mentors that look like them and think like them or from similar cultures, and also just to be exposed to new, things in the Coast Guard. The symposium is going to be held June 4th through the 6th, and it'll culminate in the ball, which will be June 7th. I believe what you're talking about there, we're going to see an explosion of junior membership within Epic in the year 2025, June 2025. Trust and believe that. So I love that point there. Me personally, what I like, and Ahmad, you kind of touched on it when you spoke about kind of how we're going to build out the organization a little bit more. We're drafting new bylaws. We've created a new structure for how the board of directors and different committees are going to look. Those things are going to be so impactful. One thing that sticks out to me is the new core values that we've decided to draft up, and that's professionalism, accountability, community, and transparency. That's Epic's pact. Professionalism, accountability, community, and transparency. And building off of that, I think when we talk about our mission of building meaningful relationships, those relationships come together through those principles, right? And when you think about respecting someone else's time, someone else's efforts, and what they find important, that's professionalism. Having accountability for if I've done you wrong, if I've broken your trust, if I've broken what you believe I was supposed to be bringing in our relationship, and the accountability and being able to step forward and say something about that, that's important. The community piece of, understanding where you fit in the grand scheme of things, who you connect with, who builds you up, who do you not need to be connected to. You know what I mean? Identifying all of those things. And then lastly, obviously, the transparency, which is probably the most challenging of the four core principles, because when it comes to transparency, trust is involved there because I'm opening myself up to being vulnerable, to letting you know kind of where I stand, and what's going on in my personal life. Those are some of the things that in my relationship, even with Ahmad, and when we started this organization, I've learned a lot about myself and applying these different core principles in our personal relationship that's helped and built into, the way that we have thought about imagining Epic as a whole organization and what we hope to see other people be able to kind of I don't know, not saying we're some kind of big wigs or something, but to model that kind of relationship and building meaningful partnerships with other people throughout the Coast Guard that they may have never thought that they could be connected with. So that's for me, the main thing that sticks out to me for the year 2025. I cannot wait to see how all of these things come together. Listen, I'm not trying to hold these people forever, but I will leave you all with one last question. If you had a saying or a quote or something that you could say that's going to summarize the year 2025, a word, concept, what's that going to be for you? I know I'm throwing this one on y'all boom, give me this on the spot. What you got? Inspiration.
Uh, that's a good one. Maybe I'll use the sports terminology, right?
Okay.
It's never too late to join the bandwagon, right? So, in sports, if a team's doing good, they always get some new fans, right? I think we're at the point where we're going to get some new fans on the team, or we're going to get some people who were just sitting there waiting for us to make the next move. So it's never too late. We might have an epic bandwagon t-shirt to give some people, but I think that's where we're headed to, and we'll do some good things.
I like it. It's never too late. Get on board. I love it. Dave.
Oh man, I'm on the spot. What's the saying? I think the first thing that comes to mind is, man, be a leader, not a follower, man. Within your but you go back. Be a leader, not a follower is going to be my saying, right? That's something my father told me all the time. I know I take a much more nuanced approach now as I get older in my older years, because you don't know how to lead, unless you do know how to follow. So I think you touched on it, in the pack is knowing kind of that community, that transparency piece, and knowing, what to follow, and having that level of discernment in your decision making, because that could make or break you, and with anything, with life, that, military career, with, family, with everything. So I just leave it with that. That's something that popped in my head.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Leadership is going to be key, man, going forward. And when we think about the year 2025, we're going to be taking the lead in so many ways that you have no idea. I'll give you mine, and I'm surprised, Dave, that you did. I'm surprised you didn't use this one. There's a Twi word from the Akan people of Ghana.
I know where you go with this. I thought about that.
Yeah. That word is Sankofa, spelled Sankofa. You're actually going to see this on some of our epic t-shirts coming out in the year 2025. That's going to be our slogan for the year 2025. That word is a concept that means, and it's going to encourage you to go back and learn from the past to inform you for the future. And Ahmad and I actually were having a discussion today, just talking about, like, how do we move forward and align based on all of the things that we've seen in the past and our differences and disagreements. That's the way we do it. We go back, look at the things that have happened in the past, and we build upon that. Whether we know it or not, every single thing that we do, even this conversation today, if no one listens to this video, we created a higher consciousness between ourselves by having this discussion and talking about it in a more formal format where you had to give thought and give meaning to different ideas in your mind. That's what we're doing. We're informing ourselves for the future by talking about the past. I'll leave everybody in the December Pro League newsletter with those 3 thoughts that we just gave you. Wish that Sahira could be here with us, but we appreciate her for coming in and giving us what she could until she had her technical difficulties. Master Chief Chastain, we know you're on the road doing your TDY travel right now. We also appreciate you. Just want to shout out to everyone within Epic, the whole Epic family for the year 2024. It was a great year, and we look forward to the future. Till next time, holler at y'all.